Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing this August the 9th, 2025, noontime cryptocurrency and blockchain technology update. And we're going to give you this video, and then I'll have an altcoin video come out after that. The Jabroni Killer is about 6 hours early to non-Jabroni Killer members around 6 p.m. tonight. But I will be on the lake jet skiing as it's a very hot, sticky, late summer day of Yes, what's the current temperature? I don't know. It looks hot. 87 degrees, on its way to 94 with a 72 dew point J, just north of downtown Detroit on the inland lake in the great state of Michigan, right? So if we take a look, I got to get this going quick. This weekend, I think we're going to have a lot of consolidation after a very volatile week last week. And we're going to do all these from like we normally do during the week at noontime, like the 3 hour, 4 hour time frame. And you can see we're just trading sideways now after we had a lot of movement last week in the Bitcoin price, but it was a lot of movement with a net zero result because we started up here, we ended up way down, then we came right back up near about where we started 1 week ago today, slightly below, but pretty much right about where we were. So what we're looking at in the Bitcoin price, and there's a lot of news going on in the Bitcoin price with a lot of government news, a lot of regulatory things. Trump just signed his executive order to allow cryptocurrencies, real estate, commodities into your 401ks, unlocking like a $20 trillion reserve. And that has a big impact on commodities, real estate assets, and crypto, because people like I have a 401k at work, and it's a steady, continuous, long-term investment. And it's not a one-time buy. It comes out of your check. Mine comes out every week. Some people get paid every other week. And then it takes it out of your check pre-taxed, so you don't pay tax on it. When it goes in, that's a benefit of using it. And then it buys at whatever you own, that twice a month or 4 times a month at whatever the price is, usually for 20 or 30 years. So if people are starting to buy Bitcoin in their 401k, you got buyers now on a weekly basis every week going forward, right? Whether it's 0.5% or 10% of that 401k money, that you have buyers now, right? And that's what the stock market helps, because you have continuous buyers into the ETFs and mutual funds, right? And that's what these will be, ETFs. Or you could have a mutual fund full of cryptocurrencies with blockchain companies and tech companies that do things with the blockchain and crypto, right? You could have all that, banks, trading services, all built into a crypto ETF or a Bitcoin ETF or a large, whatever, right? So that's going to be very interesting over the coming years. And that's something that I should have been on 10 years ago, 5 years ago, which I didn't think would ever happen, which it did. And that's going to be very interesting to see exactly what happens now, right? Does this unlock Bitcoin to $1 million? Or does this unlock a big bull market, get everybody in 401ks, and then we have a massive financial collapse? Because I think we're living through the roaring 20s again, where the roaring 20s and the 1920s, it went from a bust in the late 19 teens, before the Federal Reserve was there. We had one of the greatest but brief, shortest depressions and recessions, Great Depressions in United States history, but nobody remembers it because it only lasted about 8 months. Look it up, because the natural market forces let it work itself out without government intervening to make things worse, right? And then we had the roaring 20s, and I think that's where we're at now. And there's a lot of parallels between 1920 to 1925 and 2020 to 2025, and things that happen in the stock market and around the world, and things that happen now in the stock market and around the world. And I think we're headed towards a collapse around 2030, which would have been like starting the Great Depression, which led into the World War II in the 1930s, right? So this is going to be something that I've been paying attention for, but between now and then, I think there could be big things afoot. Whether that's up or down across the board, we're here to be asset millionaires, and that's why you bell notification and subscribe to the channel. Just as the Bitcoin price, as I'm rambling, is just above $113,000 this weekend with the net zero over the last week. What you're watching out for now is if you break this previous long-term consolidation here, your first move up would be to the 123,356, maybe a brief consolidation. And then if it continues up, your upside target is between $143,000 and $155,000, which is the top part of this 3.5-year pattern of the rising channel, where you have your uptrending upper resistance up there in purple and your uptrending lower support with the channel down here in purple, right? So that's the bullish trend. And that's what you're looking at trying to do this weekend, and you're above all the major moving averages. If you start to correct down for some kind of reason, you would come back to the 50 first. And then, like we've been talking about, your major support is the pattern uptrending support. Now at current date, it's sitting at about 107,000 and change. And you say, oh, Vincenzo, we want to become asset millionaires, just as we want to know what this pattern support is. Right here, this rising channel that's come off of the mountain double top with the COVID high and euphoric run up to what was the previous all-time high right there. There's where your pattern rising channel started in the late 2022 going into 2023. And then you can see several hits of support and resistance, support and resistance, support and resistance. And now we've been uptrending on the support for several months. And we do, our asset millionaire that we're building is gold and silver bullion and mining stocks, 401k, steady investing, cryptocurrencies, real estate, cash on the side, earning 3 to 5% in CDs or bonds for peace of mind, emergencies that come up, roofs, transmissions, need a new car, need to fix up the house, etc., medical bills, buying a new or accumulating into an existing asset. And it's as cheap as $3.99 a month to help support the channel, video description and or pinned comment. And then if you look at below, what would happen here, and if you correct to the downside, your major correction, if you did end up for whatever reason, come down to the pattern support at the uptrending support at 107, 108,000, just below the 100-day moving average in the daily. 97,000 is your pattern bullishness. If you got below 97, that's when you know something's afoot and the pattern has changed. But as long as you're in the pattern that you're in now, you're obviously super bullish. And for any kind of reason you test waters out of the pattern like you did there, right? Which the track actually showed that beautifully. And then the track's been playing it beautifully. That's why we think there could be another big pump up there like we show there in purple. But as long as you're above that pattern support, you're super bullish. I got to get this video moving. We broke the megaphone neckline. It's an emergency break right there. And now if you break this, this is where you could shoot up to $4,800 very, very quickly. You're currently right now at 4,100, up 5% on the day, with a next target of 4,800 and a megaphone pattern of a $10,000 Ethereum target. Right now, as long as you're above the megaphone neckline and you're holding it as support, your initial target is 4,833 and your next target is $10,323 in Ethereum. For any kind of sharp reversal at the $4,000 megaphone neckline, your 34.98 is your major underneath support. Xlm, same thing. You've broken above the 43 cents. You've been trading sideways for about 48 to 72 hours, I believe. Yes, that's about right. And right now what you're doing this weekend is you're trying to stay above the 43 cents. As long as you're above the 43 cents, you're ultimate super bullish, and you can make a run up at the 55 cents, right? And that's what you're looking to do right now. On any kind of retest of that 43 cents, you just hold it and you remain bullish. Obviously, if you got below the 43 cents like you did back there, something like that is possible where you retest the 50-day at 37 cents or the top part of that green support and resistance box at 36 cents. If we look at XRP, the same thing. We're in that consolidation zone. We're trying to consolidate and make a run up here at the $3.66, and then eventually the 385 all-time high from the Coinbase chart. But for any reason this weekend, if you consolidate down to the 307, that's very bullish still, and that's a healthy consolidation. And as long as you hold that, you're going to the upside and making a run at that 368. For any reason, if you come below that, just like you did here, you would come down near the 50-day moving average at 280 or potentially 259. But as long as you're above that 307, you have none of that to worry about. Like the channel, subscribe. We'll give you an update when I get off the water later on this evening. Peace and love.